you think you're taking that a little too far, big boy? Do you think you're dealing a little bit in hyperbole, Greg Bedard of the Boston Sports Journal?
Maybe.
Okay.
I mean, we were on live TV, and I was kind of riffing,
I get it.
And going. Maybe, but I've been doing a little bit more research, and I haven't had a ton of time to do it because I went to my guy, Aaron Schatz from FTN, used to be a Pro Football Outsiders, and he's my go-to guy on all this stuff with DVOA and how you can compare teams from different eras, sort of. And a lot of stuff, this bears out that this Eagles team is going to be, I think it is right now, I think it's a top 10 Super Bowl team of all time. And I look, again, I readily admit I was sleeping on this team. I didn't see this team. I probably saw them more early on in the season when they were 2-2. But, I mean, you look at it. I mean, since the bye week, this team was 15-1. They won 9 straight games at one point. They won 9 games by double digits, 5 by 20 points. They waxed the Commanders. It was sort of, not – they had a longer run-up, but it was similar to Brady's, Bucs team where, I think the Bucs ended up, by the end of the postseason, I think they were number 1 in offensive DVOA, and the defense, we know, got on a roll. That team got on a roll and was a wagon, and that's the only team that pressured Mahomes more in any game than the first half, 3.5 quarters, whatever, of this Super Bowl. So I think... look, I'm not denigrating the Patriots at all, but, I mean, because, I was listening to some of the storylines, and, we hear from Patriots fans, well, Tom Brady never looked like that. He never got blown out. Yeah, but he might have if he went against a real offense in those Giants Super Bowls. I mean, he was pretty harried. I mean, the Jets playoff game, the divisional, I don't know. I kind of remember him throwing an interception to, who was it, Bart Scott or the linebacker, where he looked completely clueless, and if the Jets had a more explosive offense if they had than Mark Sanchez, and they had a 2,000-yard running back, and they had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Maybe they do get blown out. But just to say because the Patriots didn't get blown out, then that makes Patrick Mahomes somewhat lesser, I just disagree with that.
I mean, you think the entire conversation narrative, if you will, has gotten carried away with the amount of hit that Mahomes and the Chiefs should take in this loss?
Yeah, I think we've had these conversations before. I think, I understand. There's 2 weeks of buildup. You guys are in New Orleans. You're asking everybody about the game. The Super Bowl's the Super Bowl. But, I mean, what's the difference between, Tom Brady getting poleaxed against the Ravens or the Jets or the Broncos early on, or missing the playoffs entirely in 2002 than Patrick Mahomes losing in the Super Bowl and losing against like an all-time defense from like week 6 on. Vic Fangio, once they got his system, they were ridiculous. Because
again, I'm just carrying through on my analogy that I always use, and that is they never failed the final exam that badly.
I just disagree with that. I mean, some of these games, it's all relative, and that's my point. It's relative. The Ravens with Joe Flacco, were they an all-time? I mean, did they have as much talent as, this team?
I mean, defensively they did, sure.
Yeah, defensively, sure. But, offensively, and look, part of this is me backing up. It's a similar point that I agreed with Patriots fans on for years. Because what did we hear for a very long time when the Patriots had their quote-unquote drought of 10 years? Because Brady got the 3 very quickly. And, during that whole time when Montana had 4 and he was 4-0 in the Super Bowl, there was that whole debate. And I was with Patriots fans when they would say, well, at least he got there or he went deep. Just because Joe Montana went 4-0 in Super Bowls doesn't mean he's necessarily greater than Brady. I agree with that. And just because Patrick Mahomes has been in the league, 7 years, or the quarterback for 7 years. He's never failed to make the conference championship game. Like I said, Brady missed the playoffs in year 2 as a starter. So does he get knocked for that?
I would have given Mahomes a bigger knock if he had lost in the conference final. So I'm knocking him for the Super Bowl loss, but I'm not knocking him for getting there. Like if he had not gotten past Buffalo, he falls down even a little further. It just there's what I count when I go through these things, and you'll know, folks, you've been paying attention. When I compare dynasties or quarterbacks, there's really 3 things I count. conference final appearances, Super Bowl appearances, and Super Bowl wins in ascending order of importance. I think just making the Final Four is an accomplishment, and I sort of put that on your list. So I'm not knocking Mahomes for making the Super Bowl. I'm knocking him for not competing in it, where I think Tom Brady never had one of those nights in the biggest game.
And I just think that Tom Brady had better teams, better coaching, overall. And I mean, just simply if Mahomes had like a James White type guy in this game, they might have survived a little bit more.
So listen, if you want to take some of it off of Mahomes and spread it, fine.
Yeah.
I mean, the Patriots organization, the Patriots team never had nights like that. So whether you want to say that that's a function of Belichick, a function of a more balanced roster, better in-game adjustments, or the quarterback, all allow for any or all of it. But I think the Pats deserve credit for never failing the final exam on that level.
I mean, look, again, to me, this part of it is indisputable. I said to you yesterday, I'd give Belichick credit for this. Belichick almost coached those games to keep them close.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we're not going to let this thing get away one way or the other. We're going to manage the game. And so I give him credit for that. That thing on Sunday night was a freaking no-show.
But Greg's point is part of that is circumstance. In other words, the defense of the Giants in 2007 did to you what the Eagles did to Mahomes the other night.
Correct.
But the Giants don't have A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the tush-push, Saquon Barkley, and the best offensive line in the league. If the Pats had run into that, if the Giants had an offense commensurate with what the Eagles had the other night, instead of losing 17-14, maybe it is 40-14. That Giants team was 9-7. I mean, a great defensive line.
Yeah, right.
But that Giants team was 9-7. That's Greg's point. Do you totally agree with it?
No.
Because
again, at that moment, and Greg, I understand the point of if it happens in the first round, like the 2009 loss to Baltimore, 32-12 or whatever the hell the number was. Like, what difference does it make? You're getting smashed. You're getting smashed. The Super Bowl is the whole world is watching. Like, I can't ignore that. And so, and I'm not one of these people that thought Mahomes had passed Brady last week. I thought he still had a way to go. So I don't think the thing is over by any stretch of the imagination. But when Mahomes' career is over, people are going to say, well, yeah, he lost two of them and they got killed in those games. Like, so to me, you weigh it. Now, I'm not telling you it decides the argument, but they got crushed. That was a no-show. It was a no-show. They were never in it. And like that to me is unconscionable in a Super Bowl.
So, like I said, that's on the whole team. It's on Mahomes. It's on the whole team. But again, you think, Greg, the opponent was special?
I do. I think that in hindsight, I didn't understand it. But like, for example, listening to Chris Sims the other day, who is one of these guys that I listened to because I know he watched the film. Greg Cosell, these guys who watched the film, the whole league. And Chris Sims had picked the Eagles by 10. And he made the point where he said, if you took a 22-man all-star team from this game, the Chiefs would probably have 4 players on that team. The Eagles would have 18. You'd have Mahomes, Trent McDuffie, Chris Jones, and probably one of the guards. Either Tooney or Smith would be put on the Eagles' offensive line. Other than that, the Eagles had everybody. And I just think that I think this Eagles team, and they contribute to it, and Hurts contributes to it, because he has games where he looks terrible. He just does. But for whatever reason, this guy in the biggest games, the brightest lights, he turns it on, and he plays terrific. This is 2 Super Bowls in a row. He's played great. And again, this goes to the Mahomes thing. Yeah, because he has an awesome offensive line, and this time around he's got Saquon Barkley, where Spags is selling out to stop the run. And then you talk about the blowout factor. Do you think Bill Belichick, if he was in the same situation, would have left corners one-on-one, all-out blitzes, throwing over the top, no safety help? He never would have done that. He would have kept playing the game, and that's good. And that's worked for the Patriots. And it's probably a tribute to them. But just because the Chiefs play it differently and go out and go for broke and say, what the hell is the Super Bowl? We're going to sell out. If we get beat, we get beat. then I don't know. I don't think that really makes the Chiefs lesser.
Okay. This I like, that point. That if Spagnuolo wanted to play it more conservatively, could he have kept the score closer? Yeah. I mean,
sure.
And I would have to go back and really think about it. I don't know. I think it was the Mahomes turnovers that really turned that into a blowout. I mean, you take away the points off of deep turnovers, it's not, was it 40? Was that the final?
Yeah, 17 points they gave away.
Yeah, so it's 23. It's like, that's a big difference. So, but, on the Smith touchdown, if they're just playing too deep or, whatever. Bill was really good at keeping the score close. So we dock the Chiefs for being more aggressive and, I get that point too. But this is what we're here to do. Listen, Patriots fans, Greg Bedard has been listening to you for the last 48 hours. A lot of what you have to say, a lot of your narratives. He doesn't agree with you.
He's tired of you.
So let's have a discussion, shall we? Greg Bedard is brought to you by Best Ford in Nashua. Looking for great deals on new Fords? Go to the Best Ford in Nashua, on the web at thebestford.com.
If you like that clip, check out more videos from Felger and Maz here. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. And for all the latest from the Sports Hub, download the app at 985thesportshub.com.